So I often get questioned, asked how to get into half lotus or full lotus. And it's important because when you're sitting meditating on a cushion, it's a lot better if you can get into lotus. I mean, this is what they call the Burmese posture. This is what I'm normally in. And it's nice because the knees are wide apart, so this base is very wide. But there's something about having, 1 foot up, so the sole of the foot is really looking up, and if possible, both feet looking up, that somehow just makes the back right, and it just feels more stable, more together, and better. So let's just try a little bit of stretching to try and prepare ourselves for crossing the legs like this. So the way they normally recommend is that you just extend both feet out in front of you so they're straight. Pardon my dirty soles, my dirty sole. And then just take one leg and place it on the thigh of the other leg. So to start with, it will be like this, it may even be higher. And you just wait. Maybe put an arm on here just to add a little bit of weight. Just move around a bit, and then work it up towards the hip. And slowly it will just drop down. Maybe it won't reach the cushion yet, the zabuton. But it will get lower. Yeah. So you just got to move and just be patient. And then don't stay on it too long, just a minute or so. And then the other one. Yes, you'll find one is easier than the other. So this one is my easy one. I can get this down almost immediately. So we just want to stay in this position, and what I tend to do is just sort of massage my feet and my toes. So I massage people for a living, and what's always interesting to me or revealing is just how sensitive people's feet are in the wrong sort of way. They're sensitive because they're just closeted all the time. They've got shoes or socks on all the time. Even if they are bare feet, so a lot of people go bare feet inside in the summer in Israel because it's so warm. But it's really outside that you need to go bare feet. So you get practice walking on uneven, rough surfaces. And that'll just wake the feet up so the toes will start wriggling to try and find, footholds. But in the absence of that, I just massage my feet, especially splaying the toes, pulling them, twisting them. And you'll find that, as you do it, this will just slowly drop. Whilst you're watching it, it's like watching a kettle boil. It will just stay where it is. And then just the other one again. Again, massaging this spot. Just the toes, just twisting the toes and really giving them a good squeeze. There's loads of acupuncture points in the feet and the toes. It just needs a good prodding. Yeah, so eventually you want to get this really high up so that this thigh is parallel to this one, ideally. Yeah, so it's not sticking out the side like this. And it just takes time. See, this one is pretty much down now. And we have to understand the tension, the good tension, the working tension that we need to bring into the body to make it function properly. So the Taoists, they have this saying, relaxed but not relaxed, tense but not tense. So this idea of having these pure categories is very sort of Western and very much of the rational mind. They just don't exist in nature. Nothing is ever 100%. Everything is always a composite. And so what I don't want to do is subject my leg or my hip to an onslaught. I'm not trying to make this obey me. What I'm trying to do is produce a tussle, a fight between the two legs. Yeah. So I'm sort of gently pressing on the knee here, but the knee is pushing back. And I'm not trying to subjugate. I'm trying to produce energy. I'm trying to create conflict, if you like, or create this balance that's produced not from these cooperating, harmonizing entities, but from conflict, really. So I've got to get work in there, and then the muscles will just remain toned. If my muscles get too relaxed and I work on them, then that's when I'm liable to hurt myself, especially the joints. Yeah, so they need to relax, they need to lengthen, but remain toned up and taut. Otherwise, energy won't travel through them. And there's no spirit. Your spirit is like the energy of conflict. Spirit destroys, spirit creates. It's the same thing, really. And then so this is my difficult knee. So it's hurting already. So I have to be careful. So I need to just produce that conflict. So I'm pressing down here, but not in order to push the knee down, but to stimulate the knee to fight back. And then the system will remain taut and the pain goes. And you can just tell it's just so much more healthy. And then sitting in half lotus is just, if you can do that, what we've just done, then sitting in half lotus is easy. Just got to get this foot on top and just settle. And when again, I can work it here. So I'm pressing down here, but this is, it's almost getting angry because it doesn't want to be forced into anything. Yes, there's something in you, your spirit must really object to force, to being forced to do something. Part of you should fight back just for the sake of it, even if it's obvious that what you're being forced into is going to be good for you in the long run. There should always be a bit of a fight going on. And then I just sit and meditate. Yeah. And, so now this is my right foot on top of my left thigh. And, you should be able to do both sides. This is my easy side. This is the side I prefer. So in other words, it should be the other side that I'm practicing. And again, so I push, and the knees by pushing back. And then I just let that tension, that fight, just seep into the whole of me so that I become charged up. And then once you're in position, you can just, what they do, they tend to just lean. They just lean at different angles, just trying to keep the knee down as you lean over. They'll do this before they actually start their meditation session, so that when they are sitting, they're comfortable. Yeah, the buttocks are spread apart and the knees can really settle down. There's nothing worse than starting a meditation, getting 10 minutes in and realizing you haven't prepared yourself. You're not comfortable. The posture's not quite right. And then full lotus, it's the same thing. You just get, so your difficult leg, this is my leg that doesn't like it. So I've got to get that one in position first. Yeah. So if I can get this foot right up and let this knee just settle down. If I can do that, then this is my easy leg. So I should now be able to take this foot and put it on here, in theory. Yeah, so this is the tendon really here that obviously is really tight when I'm in this position. This is not too bad. And so I've got to tense that muscle to try and get this fight going on. And then I hold this foot so that it doesn't slip off too much. And then I bring this foot up, and then I just lift this foot up whilst I'm still holding on to this one. Now just take my hands out there. And then I'm pretty much in lotus. And it's a pretty good lotus because this is high up. So this will tend to slip down. And it doesn't hurt, but it will. And the place which is difficult is just where the 2 feet cross over. You'll find there's real pressure there. So when you come out of it, you'll have like a dent in your flesh, which will take minutes to come out. But it just feels so good. And again, you can just sort of lean to make sure it's really just the buttocks separating. So this feeling of spreading at the sacrum. And then when you put your hands like this, they're a lot higher than they would be if you were just in the Burmese pose or just single lotus, because this heel is keeping them high, and they should really be higher than most people have them. So here they're sort of more in the right position. And the better your lotus is that the closer the knees are together. So you can see if my knees were closer together, then these feet would be higher up on the thighs. Because ideally, eventually, what you'd like is to be able to just wrap your 2 arms behind and clasp your big toes with the opposite hand. Yeah, and you can imagine what that would do to your back and your chest and your thymus. Yeah, so it's worth really taking your time with those initial stretches before you try getting into it. The first couple of times I got into Lotus like this, I was so pleased with myself. But yeah, this knee was hurting. I mean, not seriously, but it was giving me jip, as they say, for a couple of weeks. I just realized that this sort of work, it's long term. Just I started doing this like 2 years ago, trying to get into Lotus. And then to come out of it, I mean, to start when you first get into it, you just got to gingerly, just inch this down until it just flops down onto the cushion, and then just hold on to things. Yeah, so you can see how this sort of dents the legs where the two bones cross. And eventually, so I'm told, you can just get yourself into Lotus without even using your hands. I used to know a guy that he just was just very flexible. He'd always been flexible, and he could do it. And when my daughter was little, she could get into a headstand with her legs erect and then just cross her legs into Lotus whilst in a headstand. So now I'm in sort of half Lotus. The hands, if I just let them rest on my feet, they drop down here, yeah, which is okay, but it just feels a bit more awake and alert when they're just slightly higher. So let's try again. So I bring my less flexible leg up, trying to get it right over so the toes really stick out to the side, past the thigh. And then just let it take time. And just produce that tension. Yeah, so make it push back against what you're trying to do. And that should just make the pain, if there is any, disappear. The pain in your knee, I mean, the muscles will hurt, but that's okay. You just don't want joint pain if you can help it. Yeah. So now this is getting down quite readily now. And then when I bring this foot up, this tends to slip off. It tends to fall in. So this is the difficult bit. Bending this knee and then just taking the foot and lifting it. And then this foot, see, it slipped back a bit. See, this foot is higher than this one effectively. So now my knees are slightly closer together than they were before. So it's a bit firmer, it's more stable. So I'm not as wide, but this just feels better. And again, even when you're just in crossed legs without Lotus, you're in the Burmese or just crossing your legs normally, you just want this feeling that the two sides of your body are sort of fighting each other a little bit. Tussling would be the best word, or jostling, rather than fighting. It's not so much a conflict as just almost like an annoyance. So I'm tightening my buttocks, I'm tightening the anus, I'm pulling the perineum, and I'm just getting this. It's not so much this as this. I'm getting the two sides working against each other, just to make myself settle into this posture. That's always there. That sort of tussle is always going on. And that tussle between your left and right, that's the tussle of yin and yang. So yin and yang, they're always at odds, really. I mean, conflict is too strong. So it is more at odds or tussling. They're not two things that want to harmonize. It's like one is always trying to get the upper hand, but it never quite happens. It's a bit like, when you watch a tennis game and there's like a really long rally and you just don't want the rally to finish because it's just so exciting. And when it does finish, it's almost like it's not important who won the point. And so if I can just keep this going, then it just protects the joints. It's interesting, and it's just the right mind. That's what I love about Judaism, is that they say what God cannot abide is to be ignored. So he doesn't mind you arguing with him or cursing him. But what he can't abide is basically atheism. When people just can't be bothered. It's really, I mean, I really believe that people don't believe. People don't believe in God because they just don't have the energy for it. They don't have the energy for faith. They want certainty. As John always used to say, it's really that what we're trying to do with the work. He always used to talk about there's two things: understanding energy, and he used to talk about transmission of energy. So understanding energy is really just understanding that tussle, really, understanding that you need to engage with things in the right way for them to generate, for that engagement to generate energy and slowly make you stronger, improve your energy, make your energy better, but also make it finer and sharper, so more spirit. And then the transmission of energy, it's really just at some point when you've proved yourself and when you have gathered enough energy for it to happen, the teacher he'll turn you on, he'll turn on your spirit, and it will never go out, and you'll curse him for the rest of your life for it. But it just means that basically that's the point at which you are a master. You can now use the work to generate its own instruction. You don't need a teacher anymore, in a way. If you just continue working with spirit on the form or on the work, then new insights will constantly be tumbling out, which you can work with. So it's almost like the spirit becomes the teacher. You don't need the physical teacher anymore. And one of the big problems of meditation, of course, is the sleepiness, the wrong sort of mind, really. Quiet mind, in a way, is the wrong sort of mind. It's it's a mind that has quietened down, but a mind that hasn't yet become infused with spirit. This thing, when you meditate, you're sitting there quietly, and this is slowly quietening down. And then if you're lucky, if you have a transmission, then at some point when this becomes quiet, suddenly, ooh, fuck, you'll notice that everything has shifted. Now you're awake. You're not just quiet, because if you just get more and more quiet, there's almost a sense of collapsing in on yourself and getting a little bit sleepy. You want to become quiet enough so that you can notice these really delicate, fragile forces like spirit. It's a bit like you're at the daytime now. You'd never imagine that there are stars in the sky because it's so full of sunlight. So it's only when you take away the sunlight do you notice, ooh, there's this firmament with these millions of stars in it. It's a bit like that with meditation. With meditation, we're just slowly getting quieter. So it's like we're just dimming the light, dimming the light, dimming the light. And then when you just switch your attention from the objects that you can see to the bigger picture, you suddenly realize this space is just full of light, but they're little tiny bits, little tiny pinpricks, and that's spirit. So that would be more like empty mind. So quiet mind is a mind that's still mind, it's just getting quieter. And then when that becomes quiet enough for you to notice that there's something else in the room, not just you, then that's like empty mind. So now it's just empty of mind, of thinking mind, of feeling mind. And suddenly you're just with this sparky aspect of awareness. And then if you were to engage the world with that mind, with that empty mind, then your engagements become so all-encompassing and engrossing. So there's no mind anymore. It's just you totally with what it is that you're doing, what you're engaged in. So there's no mediating medium. So this tussling work that's going on. Yes, effectively, when they do that yogic flying, they're sitting in lotus and they just they just tighten the muscles here and in the anus to drive their knees down into the cushion, and they hop and they can jump over. They have like races. They can jump over like hurdles, small ones, or jump onto a sofa without using their arms. So that they're just using this sort of conflicting the two sides just working against each other. So as this side tenses, this one has to relax a bit. As this side tenses, this one. But it doesn't really want to. It doesn't want to just become floppy. I mean, that's okay sometimes, when you're really tired. But other times, especially this time of year, spring, this is the time of energy. And you just want to get the muscles really just working, but in that elastic way. They're tightening, but they're always ready to release. So relaxed, but not relaxed. Tense, yet not tense. It's really important. And now I've been in here quite a while now, so let's just be careful when I come out of it. See, the foot has gone blue. This foot goes blue and this foot goes red. So again, it's yin and yang. The stretching is just so important, but stretching in this way where we're getting this elastic springiness. So, this hand is pushing this knee down. But at some point, I want this knee just to push back a bit. And then I can let that go, and I'll find I'll be able to push down even further. It's basically breathing. And we're just getting that breathing action everywhere. When you breathe, you tense to draw the air in. And then as you breathe out, you relax and just let everything go. We just want that motor to govern everything we do, really. No, this feels dead easy after that.